Greetings, boys and girls, and welcome to English 1000. Now, if you turn to page 4 in your syllabus, you'll see a list of required reading assignments that I know you actually won't read yourself.
Yeah, you can stop playing yourself. I know you're not actually going to read what's assigned. I mean, who wants to pass a midterm or final by reading? So I'm going to do you guys a favor.
Welcome to LIT-erature, where we make your lives easier by giving you the rundown or more of classic novels assigned to you by your professors. My name's Chris Grant, and today's book is not just a book, it's a play. The infamous A Midsummer Night's Dream by William Shakespeare. You know the story with the donkey you probably had to read in middle school. Yeah, well, it's back in our lives, people, so we might as well enjoy it. Before I give you the basic rundown of the plot, I'm gonna need some help. So I have a good friend here, Beba.
Hey guys! Alright, make sure you're paying attention.
Here's the basic rundown. Theseus and Hippolyta, Duke and Duchess of Athens, are about to get married. And they're talking about how lit their wedding day and wedding night is going to be. Aegeus and a nobleman of Athens comes dragging his daughter, Hermia, along with two guys named Demetrius and Lysander. Lysander is Hermia's boyfriend, who her father hates, and Demetrius is trying to slide in those DMs because Hermia's father said he should. But Hermia's not having any of it. Aegeus complains to Theseus about Hermia and Lysander dating, and Lysander argues that he actually loves Hermia, unlike Demetrius, who, here's some tea, used to be engaged to Hermia's best friend, Helena.
Shakespeare couldn't choose any other name? Hermia and Helena?
Right. So Theseus is kind of over the whole discussion at this point and basically says,
Hermia, do what your father said. Either you marry Demetrius, or you become a nun, or you die.
So Hermia and Lysander's plan the next night is to get married at Lysander's aunt's house.
It doesn't get any more romantic than that.
So then Helena comes in crying because Demetrius hates her and loves Hermia. And Hermia makes her feel better by telling her that she's eloping. So Helena plans to tell Demetrius this tea, hoping he'll fall in love with her again. Okay, new group of people. And now we're in the woods.
In comes the Mechanicals, who are just a group of craftsmen who are set to be the entertainment at Theseus and Hippolyta's wedding. The only one you need to remember is Bottom. Each of them are assigned a role in the play they will be performing called Pyramus and Thisbe. They all agree to meet later on in the woods to rehearse. Now here comes the fairies, including King Oberon and Queen Titania. They end up fighting, and Oberon gets so heated he sends his fairy servant Puck to capture a magical flower that makes people fall in love with the first person they see. He plans to use it on Titania.
Now, we see Demetrius walking through the woods looking for Hermia and Lysander, and who's right behind him? Helena. Oberon witnesses how abusive Demetrius is to Helena and tells Puck to use the magic love flower on him too.
Except Oberon says the Athenian man instead of Demetrius, which starts the problem.
Now we're back to Hermia and Lysander. They've been in the woods for a while now, so they knock out and Puck puts the flower potion in Lysander's eyes, thinking he's Demetrius. Helena is wandering around, and when Lysander wakes up, guess what? He's in love with Helena now. He follows her around, leaving Hermia alone. When Hermia wakes up, she's salty and she starts running off looking for him.
Okay, so we're halfway through now. Now, Titania enters and falls asleep. Oberon drips the flower potion over her eyelids, and conveniently, here comes the Mechanicals for the rehearsal. When Bottom exits the stage, Puck decides to have a little fun and turns Bottom's head into a donkey. He comes running back and scares everyone, so they all run away. Bottom has no idea why they all run away. They think it's to make an ass of him. Titania wakes up and professes her love for Bottom, thanks to the potion, and takes him away. He's confused, but he's definitely into it.
Hermia has finally found Demetrius. She is convinced that he has murdered Lysander and gets so frustrated talking to him that she storms off. Now Oberon puts Demetrius to sleep, and takes the opportunity to put the love potion on his eyelids. When Helena and Lysander walk in, Demetrius wakes up and announces his love for, you guessed it, Helena. Now she thinks this is a sick joke. Hermia follows the sound of Lysander's voice and comes back in. Now that all four are together, the boys are fighting each other and Helena and Hermia are squaring up because she stole her mans. Eventually, Puck makes all four lovers fall asleep in the woods and reverses the potion's effect on Lysander.
This way, Demetrius is still in love with Helena, and Lysander falls back in love with Hermia.
Oberon also takes the spell off of Titania and Bottom, and she's convinced that falling in love with a donkey was just a dream. We're almost done, I promise.
The next morning, Theseus, Hippolyta, and how do you say it? All right, thank you there. Aegeus are all walking through the woods and find all the lovers asleep. Theseus wakes them all up, and they can't remember anything that happened the night before. It's like a dream. Lysander confesses to eloping with Hermia, and Demetrius explains that, out of nowhere, he's in love with Helena. Theseus finds this kind of cute and decides that all three couples should have a wedding, and they all leave to get married. Bottom reunites with the other mechanicals, and they all perform Pyramus and Thisbe. Terribly.
Seriously, guys, it's really bad.
Everyone awkwardly applauds them and goes to bed. Puck comes back one more time to tell the audience that if they found a Midsummer's Night Dream to be weird, then they can just clap about it being over and consider it a dream. The end.
Okay, that was a lot, but it's a lot shorter than reading it. Trust me. Now, what did you think of Midsummer overall? What would you say is your most favorite and least favorite part of the play?
Well, I remember reading it back in middle school, and I loved it right away because it was actually funny compared to the other Shakespeare plays. And yeah, that would be my most favorite part, that it's funny and entertaining, and also like a good story. My least favorite part is that there's not a sequel.
Oh, you heard that, Shakespeare. Get to writing.
Come on, man, we're waiting.
Well, I wanted to discuss how the title relates directly to the plot, and maybe you can help me out here.
First, the play is set during Midsummer's Eve, which is actually the longest day and the shortest night of the year. In Shakespeare's day, in the 16th century, this day was a huge deal and was meant for good vibes all around. So, when you hear the title, A Midsummer's Night Dream, you kind of automatically think of a dreamlike setting where anything seems possible.
And this explains why people falling in love due to potions or fairies manipulating people's emotions or someone having their head turned into a donkey's head or people sleeping and waking up to eventually being back to normal can all seem a bit dreamlike.
This brings us to a major theme in the novel, dreams. For some characters, it seems like they're living in a nightmare. For example, Hermia not only has one man fall out of love with her, but two. The love of her life literally falls in love with her best friend. And for Helena, her ex-fiance falls in love with her best friend, and then all of a sudden, both her ex-fiance and her best friend's boyfriend are professing their love for her. She thinks they're mocking her and essentially is living a bad dream.
Another theme I would consider really important is magic. For example, of course, fairies themselves are magical beings, and as a part of the whole Midsummer Eve concept, certain plants had magic and therefore could create potions, i.e., the magical love flower used throughout the entire show. And in some magical way or another, people fall in love with people they shouldn't love, and a fairy turns an innocent man's head into an ass. It's a lot of weird and mysterious stuff that happens. And that's the magic of Midsummer. Also, even though she's angry, I think that Helena would feel as though it were magic that both Demetrius and Lysander fall in love with her. It must also be magical to Bottom that someone as beautiful as Titania, the queen of the fairies, could love him. Then, there's the happy endings. Hermia does not have to marry Demetrius. Helena finally has her mans. The mechanicals perform their play. And everyone lives happily ever after.
All right, I think that's a great amount of information for today. Any final thoughts on the play, Chris?
Yes, I have some final thoughts. I think that the play was just well written, and I think that it was an amazing thing for such a genius comedy, because you think that in the Renaissance and the medieval times, that they'd be so serious and uptight, you know, Romeo and Juliet and all those plays, but A Midsummer Night's Dream kind of, you know, just makes us laugh and relax a little bit.
Yeah, and we all need a laugh.
Yes. All right, and there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and if you made it this far, you should be proud of yourself. Hopefully, you have a better understanding of A Midsummer Night's Dream.
And a better chance at passing that final or nailing that presentation. Stay well, everyone.
And thanks for watching LIT-erature. Another theme I would consider really important is magic. For example, of course, fairies themselves are magical beings, and as a part of the whole Midsummer Eve concept, certain plants had magic and therefore could create potions, i.e. the magical love flower used throughout the entire show. In some magical way or another, people fall in love with people they shouldn't love, and a fairy turns an innocent man's head into an ass. It's a lot of weird and mysterious stuff that happens. That's the magic of Midsummer. Also, even though she's angry, I think that Helena would feel as though it were magic that both Demetrius and Lysander fall in love with her. It must also be magical to Bottom that someone as beautiful as Titania, the queen of the fairies, would love him. Then there's the happy endings. Hermia does not have to marry Demetrius. Helena finally has her man. The mechanicals perform their play, and everyone lives happily ever after.
Any final thoughts on the play or background of the play from you, Chris?
Well, I just really love how it's so free and you can do all these certain crazy things and have a reason to do them. You know, I usually think of Renaissance and medieval times as being so serious, but here Shakespeare gives us this magical, fun, whimsical play, and that's what I really appreciate about it.
That's a really good point.
Yeah. All right. And there you have it, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in, and if you made it this far, you should be proud of yourself. Hopefully, you have a better understanding of A Midsummer Night's Dream.
And a better chance at passing that final or nailing that presentation. Stay well, everyone.
And thanks for watching LIT-erature.